Good evening, professionals. We are in our ninth Domestic Corporate Law webinar series, in which we are discussing about the labor code, trying to understand the old provision vis-a-vis the new provisions and what are the key changes. A quick comparison with the key changes that are brought in the new code. And we have completed till chapter 7 during our previous week webinar, that is till employees compensation in the second division, that is on the code on social security. Previously, we studied and understood the provisions of IRC, the Industrial Relations Code. Now we are in division 2, the code on social security, part 3. Today we are going to discuss chapter 8 and chapter 9. Chapter 8 and chapter 9 are more aligned to the topic of division 2, which is the social security norm. And the classification of this social security in chapter 8 and 9 predominantly targets the building and construction workers. And chapter 9 deals with your unorganized workers. If you note the key difference in the new code, in the previous acts, the Building and Construction Workers Cess Act and the Security Act, the old provisions did not exclude the building or construction for one's own purpose. Now, there is a specific exclusion in the new code, which clearly excludes those building and construction workers for self, which is built or constructed for one's own purpose, up to a cost of 50 lakhs and engaging such number of workers as may be notified. So we have to wait and watch the number of workers to be notified. That is one of the notable difference in chapter 8. And when you come to chapter 9, the significant difference is in the previous provision, you had only unorganized workers. Thankfully, now you have extension to gig workers and platform workers. We already discussed in our previous webinars about who are gig workers and who are platform workers. Again, for the benefit of the new audience, the gig workers or those workers who are ideally engaged on a consultancy agreement consultants who are engaged by virtue of a consultancy agreement, and it is not an employer-employee relationship by signing a contractual employment agreement. And platform workers, thanks to all the advanced technology where you have all these platform workers in place. So these two workers are also well recognized, and considering the ranking in which India is playing a foot in such gig workers and platform workers who are engaged in various sectors. With this brief introduction, let's get into today's presentation, friends. Thanks to Aishwarya for her contribution, and she has also brought in a case law on the subject. So we are going to see the social security for building workers, followed by which we will see one case law, Hasrat Ali versus Aligarh Muslim University on the subject. And then we will discuss about the social security which is available for unorganized workers, gig workers and platform workers. We are going to have reference drawn to aggregators in chapter 9 dealing with unorganized sector, where aggregator means a digital intermediary or a marketplace for a buyer or user to connect with the seller. So it is going to be a connect between these two parties, being the buyers and the sellers. And the built-in workers, it includes all who are employed to do whether it is a skilled activity, semi-skilled, unskilled activity. And again, it could be expressed or implied with any building or other construction work. Of course, as discussed earlier, it excludes the building or construction which is done for one's own purpose and excludes those employees who are in managerial cadre or administrative capacity. Chapter 8 has reference to that building and construction worker. Let's understand the comparison or significant differences between the erstwhile provisions in Building and Construction Workers Cess Act 1996 and the new code. Purpose previously was to protect the building and construction workers and to take care of their health, safety and welfare. And now the purpose is for levy and collection for the purpose of social security. So they have coined the word social security in lieu of safety, health and welfare. And again, the target segment will be your building workers. And the interest rate for delay in payment of the cess, if you see the cess amount as prescribed in the old act and the new code are the same. Not exceeding 2% and not less than 1% was as prescribed in the old act, and it is well retained in the new code. And the rates are prescribed clearly, and the powers are now given to central government. The power to exempt employer from payment of cess, the power was earlier given to central government. Power is given to appropriate government in the code. And if you read the definition of appropriate government, you have both the central government and the state government under the new code. Assessment of cess, of course, under the respective public sector establishments which are aligned to these governments. And employer shall furnish a return to the authority, the regulator, who will confirm the correct assessment of cess. But within 60 days of completion of contract, which is your building work, effective this code being notified, you shall pay self-assessed cess and file the return after payment of cess. The authority or the regulator concerned will determine whether the self-assessed payment is appropriately done, and if there is going to be any variation, the shortfall shall be settled later, is the provision as enshrined in the new code. Friends, stop me if you have any doubts on the subject. Now we are going to see the same or similar provisions as in the old act and in the new code. Penalty when there is non-payment of cess. Earlier it was construed as an arrears, and the authority may prescribe penalty not exceeding the amount of cess. So the cap was until the cess amount which was determined. And the same provision is as envisaged in the code. Not only that, the percentile also remains the same. Registration of building workers as beneficiaries. The eligibility norm was those who had completed 18 years of age but not completed 60 years earlier, and the provision is retained. Engaged in the work for a period of not less than 90 days during the preceding 12 months. Appeal. An employer who is aggrieved by the assessment by virtue of the cess which is levied by the regulator, he could make an appeal before the appellate forum, and the order as provided by the appellate forum shall be final and binding on the party. And the same is provided in the new code as well. And cessation as beneficiary, of course, on attaining the age of 60, because the maximum ceiling is that, and not engage the work for not less than 90 years of age. Exception, if a person had been a beneficiary for at least 3 years before attaining the age of 60, then there is an exception, and he would be eligible for such benefits as are provided by the central government. This particular says, the act clearly says that it shall be apportioned and provided for in the building and other construction workers welfare fund. And this amount to be credited to the fund is the SS which is levied under the charging section, which is your section 100 of the code, and any grants and loans made to the welfare board which is formulated by the central government, such other sum which is received by the board from the sources as may be decided by central government. So the pool of all these together will be put in this welfare fund for the safety welfare, which we have coined now as social security for the building workers. And this is the income portion of it. The expenditure portion of it would be the expenditure of the board in discharging its functions. And salary, it will be, this particular pool of fund will also be utilized for paying all the operational expenditure of the board and such other objects and purposes for which this particular board is formed. And the limit is the expenditure towards all these operational costs to its members shall not exceed 5% of total expenditure in a financial year. So that is the ceiling limit prescribed. for the expenditure which will be apportioned out of this particular fund received by this board. This is the case law, interesting case law on this subject. The petitioners were the workers in this particular case, where the respondents or the institution, the Aligarh Muslim University in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And the petitioners were jointly making this representation. So there were 26 in number who had entered into a contract with respondent on a date subsequent to Feb 2009. Why this February 2009 is significant is this particular cess, levying of cess, was effective Feb 2009. So while making this payment to all these workers, the respondent had deducted 1% of cess from the contractor's bill, effective Feb 2009. There was no provision for levying the cess at the rate of 1% as per the terms and conditions agreed between the parties. So the petition was filed before Allahabad High Court, where the petitioners' learned counsel had contended that on behalf of these 26 workers that there was no provision in the contract for levying this labor cess. Therefore, they claimed that this particular deduction was erroneously done by the respondent. And also, they added to their substance by stating that there was an office memo issued only during the year 2013, whereby the respondent had decided to adopt this particular cess, levying of cess, pursuant to this Building and Other Construction Workers Cess Act 1996, which is what is now reflected in the code under section 100, being the charging section for levying cess not less than 1% and not exceeding 2%. And therefore, they claimed that effective 2013, that is after this office memo was issued only, the liability could arise, not prior to that, though the act was in force effective 2009. So the demand was thus claimed to be unjustifiable, and the learned counsel who appeared on behalf of all these 26 workers, being the petitioners, prayed that the respondent, the Aligarh Muslim University, be restrained from deducting this particular amount from the bill of the contractors to the extent of 1%, being the labor cess. Respondent, in its plea, stated very clearly that the contract signed between these two parties clearly under clause 6 of the schedule containing quantity specification had a clause stating that the price includes royalty, monopoly charges and such other charges and taxes as may be levied by government or other statutory bodies. The act was also adopted by the state of Uttar Pradesh, the state legislature, effective 2009, when this particular cess act, Building and Construction Workers Cess Act, was, though it was approved effective 1996, by virtue of the state legislation, this was given effect to in the state of Uttar Pradesh from the year 2009. Therefore, this clause 6, which clearly stated that the such other rates or charges as levied by the state government would also be included for the purpose of levying the labor cess, is well in compliance with this particular provision as provided in the state of Uttar Pradesh. So that was the contention placed by the respondent, in this case being the Aligarh Muslim University. So next, what happened was the decision passed by the Allahabad High Court in its decision during 2014. So it was not in dispute that the act was adopted by the state of Uttar Pradesh. This was well confirmed, and they also stated that the facility of this labor cess reduction was well provided and recognized under the state legislature, and that is unquestionable because it has the enforcement of law by virtue of the state legislature, and the cess answers the description of tax. Therefore, in view of clause 6, it would be a tax levied by state government included in the price quoted. And thus it was held by the Allahabad High Court that the labor cess was in the nature of tax levied by state government. It became payable from the date the Cess Act was adopted by the state of Uttar Pradesh, effective February 2009. So there was no illegality in raising this particular demand by the respondent, and the petitioners also had entered into a contract, clearly signing and making a binding contract that they are agreeable for this particular deduction, and hence they wouldn't have closed their eyes and signed the contract. Was the particular decision taken by Allahabad High Court in this decision, and thus the petition was dismissed, and it was well in favor of the respondents. We are moving to the next chapter 9, which is social security for unorganized workers, gig workers and platform workers. And the earlier act, as mentioned in the initial stage of our webinar, that it was earlier restricted only to unorganized workers. Now the platform is available for your gig workers and platform workers as well in the new code. Further to that, India stood at 7th place worldwide in the particular freelancer list ranking worldwide, and the number of freelancers increased from 11% during the year 2018 to 52%, as high as 52% in 2019, and the growth rate of the revenue share of freelancers in India was at as high as at 28% during the year 2019. This also made it imperative for the government to consider the statutory recognition being extended to the gig workers and platform workers. And some of the differences between the old act and the new code are: the framing of welfare scheme was covering life, disability, health, maternity, old age protection, but now it very clearly includes and recognizes education. And funding of central government schemes were partly by central government, partly by state government, or wholly by central government in the earlier case. But now it also includes your corporate social responsibility fund as provided under section 135 of your Companies Act. And funding of state government schemes also likewise, it includes your CSR fund under the Companies Act. And record keeping was by district administration and now by appropriate authority, and like how recognition is given to your e-mode platform in various other statutes, here again the electronic mode is permitted. Facilitation centers, generally prescribed as workers facilitation centers, now it is toll-free helplines, such other facilitation centers. And registration of unorganized workers, eligibility was earlier those who had completed 14 years of age, now it is 16, and self-declaration confirming that they are unorganized workers, and now the details to be mentioned as prescribed by central government while submitting the self-declaration, and also to submit Aadhaar along with your application form. And previous authority was your district administration, now there is no such authority. And the issue of identity card having unique identification number, now it is issuance of a distinguishable number. And the board, National Social Security Board, and with the state name, the Unorganized Workers Social Security Board. And now comes the scheme for these workers, the gig and platform workers. Central government may notify social security schemes on matters relating to life, disability cover, health, maternity benefit, old age protection, and such other benefit as determined by central government. And the funding for this particular scheme to be taken care by all these workers was wholly by central government, or it will be wholly funded by the contribution of aggregators. We're going to see in the next slide as to who are aggregators. Of course, we already studied the definition of an aggregator in the initial slide, or it could be a combination of both central government, state government funding, or it could be partly by central, state, and collection from your aggregators or beneficiaries, or your CSR fund as recognized under Companies Act or any other source. So these are the contributions which are made towards the scheme for the benefit of these workers, and the date of commencement of contribution shall be notified by central government. And the Schedule 7 of this code clearly provides those aggregators who are classified as your ride-sharing services like your Ola, Uber, food and grocery delivery services like your Zomato, and logistics services, all other logistic services which are provided. That's why we saw that it is a combination or a balance between both buyer and seller engaged in this particular platform. E-marketplace, your B2B, B2C are well recognized by virtue of the Schedule 7, introducing the classification of aggregators, professional service providers, your doctors, chartered accountants, lawyers, company secretaries, healthcare, your hospitality industry, content and media services, and any other goods and services provided platform are also included in your aggregators classification. Friends, with this we are concluding till this chapter 9, and we will continue and complete the code on social security in our next webinar. Until then, take care, stay safe.